Found a new pattern online the other day from Steve Good. I've mentioned him before. He sends out a daily email with a new pattern. He has hundreds of patterns, maybe thousands. I don't know. I've never tried to look at the exact number. But on his website, stevedgood.com, and you can find, I'll put a link in the description, but this is the pattern I found. Valentine's Day is over, but people still love each other all year round, I hope. This particular pattern has two sizes to it. There's a large one here. You can see it just about fills up that 8.5 by 11 sheet. That would be the top, and that would be the bottom. And there's a smaller one, and both of them fit on that 8.5 by 11 sheet. So I thought, well, let me try starting with the small one, and I found some material in my scrap bin. And those of you that are woodworkers know what scrap bin means. It means you never really want to throw anything away unless it's so small you can't do anything with it. I've found a piece of Purple Heart, and I'm going to make the two hearts out of that. And behind that, I'm going to use this maple, or for another one, I'm going to make the maple for the top. And both of them, I found some pieces of mahogany. I'm going to put that on here. That will be the bottom. So I've got enough now for two complete sets, and let me attach the patterns to the wood, and we'll go to the scroll saw. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that my favorite method of attaching patterns is with scroll saw tape, and that's what I have here. You could use adhesive, you could use painter's tape, and attach the pattern with glue, spray glue to the painter's tape. This is my favorite. I have a video planned just on methods to attach patterns to wood. I believe I came up with 10 different methods, and that's in the planning stages. I will be doing that one soon. But right now, let's do this one. There's the scroll saw tape. Use the knife to get at the corner, peel it out of the way, and this is going to be close, but this did fit. Yep, we're good there. There is the pattern on the Purple Heart. Do the same thing with the maple. The tape is a little bit on the expensive side. It's somewhere around $25 a roll, I think. Right now, I don't know what it will be. It'll go up or down. Well, not too many prices go down. But to me, it's quick, and it peels off easily when you're done, so I like it. I used those two pieces of tape that were left over from the first, and this, all right. There's the first piece of mahogany. Ooh, that's a little too close to the edge. Now, if you make a mistake with the scroll saw tape, you can still peel it off and reattach it if you're careful. I try to get it right the first time, but when you get a pattern that is just about the size of the wood, there's no room to spare. And the thing is, then the paper tends to want to curl a little bit, so it makes it a little trickier. But all right, so it's all within the board now. Now, each one of these is going to need some pilot holes. Full-size drill press is currently unavailable because of another project I'm working on, and luckily I have a second drill press. No tools needed. That's a number 3 blade. Use your thumb to see which way the teeth are facing. If you run it here, it's very little resistance. You run it this way and you get some resistance. Obviously, don't try doing too hard. You might get a little cut out of it. But now we know that the teeth are, most of the teeth anyway, are facing down, and that's the way you want the blade to go in the holder, so that the blade is doing most of its work on the downstroke. If it's a reverse blade, a reverse tooth blade, which I believe these are, I've had these around for a while, but I'm pretty sure they're reverse tooth blades. And they cut on the up and downstroke, but most of the work is done on the downstroke. Now, this is only 1/4 inch material. Mahogany is not real hard. I slowed the blade down because if it's at a higher speed, it's more aggressive. And when you're making small, tricky cuts like this, you don't want a blade that's too aggressive, because it can keep cutting when you don't want it to, if you just happen to move it a slight bit with your hand. So, going with a slower speed, more than enough for this. Loosen it up. Feed it through another pilot hole. And 6 inside cuts is not a lot. If you're new to scroll sawing and haven't done much in the way of interior cuts, this would be a good project. There's not a lot, and they're not really small, really tight cut curves or anything. It's 1/4 inch material, which you might have a little trouble finding, although I know you can get it online, and some hardwood stores sell 1/4 inch material as well. I usually buy 4/4 material, which is 13/16 to an inch thick, and when I resaw, I can get 2/4 inch pieces. I easily get 2/4 inch thick pieces out of that. I did not show the process here because I already had the material ready, and I have a complete video on resawing. So if you're interested in learning how to resaw to make your own thinner material, then I encourage you to watch that video. It's gotten a lot of views, so it tells me a lot of people are interested in resawing. That's it for the interior cuts. Now, as long as I got this one on the table, I will speed the saw up a little bit and do the outside. I always make all the interior cuts first. That's the exterior. Now, here's why I like the scroll saw tape. I'm done with that piece. Find a corner. That's it. Comes off that easily. And you got a finished piece here. It's going to need a little bit of sanding on the back because the scroll saw always leaves a little bit of a rough edge there on the bottom side. Now this one only has 3 interior cuts, the purple heart piece, so I'm going to do those next. I have a retail store I opened in January, and I've been selling online for years, but I opened a retail store and now I'm getting first-hand feedback from customers, and they're just, so many of them are really intrigued by Purple Heart, this stuff is hard, even for this Vinci that I'm going to crank up the speed. But customers love this stuff. I've made a number of projects with Purple Heart and they're selling very well. One of the projects is an Antarctica butterfly with Purple Heart and maple. And I've had to make more of them because they're selling so well. So I'm going to make some more projects out of Purple Heart because it's selling. Online, it would take me a lot longer to get that kind of feedback. It takes a while just before people find it when you item online. And then all you know is they bought it, but you don't get much more, you don't get much feedback. Having people come in, even if they don't buy, just seeing the reaction to the items made with Purple Heart, I know that it's going to do well, and so I've been making more items from the Purple Heart, and in fact I'm down to just one board left. It's about 6 feet long and only about 4 or 5 inches wide, so next time I shop for hardwoods, Purple Heart is on the shopping list. Now, this is a pretty tight turn here. There's a couple ways you can do it. I always drilled a pilot hole near the near an intersection, and there's something with a steep angle, if there is one, which there is on this. Now, one thing you can do then is to just back the blade up into that and finish it up that way. Then you just have to go back and clean it up just a little bit from the other direction. So if you're not experienced at scroll saw, that's one good way to learn and to make your sharp corners. But if you have years of experience like I do, you can also just go into the corner and you actually you back up a little bit on the blade. Not even you're watching it, but it's not even noticeable. But you get a feel for it. Back out a little bit, and then you can make the turn. Another way of doing it is I'm in this corner now with the heart. And I can back up and come in from another direction and go that way. Now the only thing I don't like about that is sometimes you end up with a little bit of a rough spot where you start it again. So whenever possible, I just make the cut. Now this next one coming up is a really, really sharp angle. And there's not enough room to make a turn there. So that's one. I'm going to go into the corner. Then I'll come back out. Get this line here. And I've got that part gone. Didn't fall through. And now I can finish. The corner coming up is about a 90-degree turn. I'm used to making those. Again, you come up to the curve, or the corner, back off a little bit with the blade, make the turn, and then continue on. One more of those. And we're back to the starting place. There's the inside cuts, and now we'll do the outside. I'll be done for the night, so I'll take the tension off the blade. Find my corner here. Pull off the tape. There's my Purple Heart piece. That is going to go on top of the lighter colored mahogany, and a little bit of sanding, and then a finish. Not enough time to do any more tonight, but I'll save that for tomorrow. But that gives you an idea of what it looks like. I think it's going to be a nice little item. The mahogany, there's a little bit around the edges, so it won't take me a real short time to sand that down. So now we're ready to put this together. The thing is, this is such a handy little dispenser for small items like this. It's easier to work out of than out of this size bottle or the even bigger ones. I just use my fingers to spread this out. This is water-based, and it cleans right up. Towel there, right. Put it in place. Try to get it close to where it's going to be to begin with, otherwise you get glue smeared where you don't want it. And that's one little spot there that I got some glue. Use this rag to clear that off. If you don't get the glue while it's wet, you have a problem later on when you go to finish the project, because the glue will keep the finish from sticking. And put them around it. So I'll put one on each of the points of the hearts there, and the rest I'll just spread out along the different parts. I've got a bunch of these clamps, and be generous with the clamps. Once again, this is why so many woodworkers say you can never have too many clamps. Okay, that is set now to dry. It's almost 7 o'clock at night. I'm going to just let that dry overnight. Here's the first of the Double Heart You Me. This is the one that was Purple Heart and mahogany. The glue is dry, and it's time to finish. Made a little homemade booth, paint spray booth. It's got a Lazy Susan in it, so that I can get all sides of an item. Alright, that's it. It takes a minute or two to put on a coat, and we'll let that dry. Probably won't have time for another coat tonight, but I'll come back tomorrow. These are the completed You Me Double Hearts. This one here is the Purple Heart with the mahogany background, and this one is Purple Heart on maple. The maple is makes a very nice contrast. The mahogany does as well, but I think the maple is even better. But I had those scrap pieces of mahogany and decided I might as well use them up. Nice little project. Like I said, it's not too difficult. There's 6, 8, I don't know, there's about 10 or 12 inside cuts. but not real small, not real fussy. If you're still learning scroll saw and you would like to do a project that requires some inside cuts but not too complicated, this would probably be a good way to go. You do need access to 1/4-inch material, but there are places in hardwood stores and online where you can buy them. Hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more projects.